I thought we had another week left in April, but whoops, I just realized that today is the last day of April. Hi guys, my name is Ezra and welcome back to my channel. So, as you've noticed, I haven't posted in a month. Yeah. Well, and I did say that I thought I had one more week left, but I guess not. Since today is the last day of April, I don't know where I have been. But here we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a March and April wrap up because I already filmed my March wrap up and then I realized that today is the last day of April. So yeah, I just decided to do one video for both months. Anyway, I didn't really read that much. And so I mean, it's great to just put them in one video. So I decided to refilm the whole thing. So what I've decided to do is that I am going to do a tea and chat, a March wrap up, and then an April wrap up. But don't worry, I'm going to put in the timestamps in the description box below so that you can skip around to the other sections that you don't even want to listen to. So yes, let's go and start with the updates and what I've been up to. So March and April was an exhausting month for me. April is actually the first full month that I am back to in-person work, and I guess LA is open, so welcome back, LA traffic. I don't really miss you. But as it turns out, every time I get back home, I'm too exhausted. And yeah, I was able to film like a couple of videos during April, but I was not able to edit them because I was just too exhausted and I just wanted to sleep and then listen to audiobooks, and basically that's what I did for the most part. So I normally don't talk about work, and I usually just don't mix my work life and my other life as a romance reader, but I decided to include that here. So I am a registered nurse, but I actually am a nurse consultant for a few nursing homes in the Los Angeles area. I do work for a nursing home company, and without going into detail, my background is an MDS nurse. So if you work in long-term care, you know what an MDS nurse is. So I am a consultant for that, basically looking at quality measures and quality of care. It actually also involves a little bit of the financial part, because if you have Medicare patients, you do need to look at Medicare payment as well. So that's basically what I do in my real life. And I'm really glad that I'm able to visit my nursing homes and talk to my nurses that I actually help with. And it's been hard because on the phone, it's not the same as being there in person. Also, April, I celebrated my 37th birthday. So, yay me. I was going to do something around that time, but then my husband and I decided to go out of town, and we basically went to San Diego and just stayed there for a short weekend. And I decided to just log off and kind of not do anything and just relax. And actually it was really great. It was really great for my peace of mind and, you know, my mental health. I really needed that. And I think that was great. And while I still pop in and out of social media, I think the quick month-ish of being not that active was a little bit helpful. But again, I feel a little bit disconnected. So I know a lot of things happened when I was out, and while I was keeping up to date with whatever was happening, I wasn't as up to date as I thought I was. So thank you to Jess Owens for her book community videos every Tuesday, because that's the only time I can connect. Well, not connect, but that's the only time I can be up to date with whatever is happening in the book community world. So another thing that I wanted to talk about is, especially in March, early April-ish, that was a horrible month for Asian Americans in general. It's just all the Asian hate. I just want to say that because I am in Los Angeles and I'm a nurse, as stereotypical as this sounds, I am a nurse and I'm Filipino, and I guess I've been living in this safe bubble because I never realized that America is this racist until last year. I can't. I feel like I don't understand why these people attack elderly people, elderly Asians specifically, and I don't understand. There are a lot of Asians that have been attacked. There's just a lot of news, a lot of hate, either physical or just verbal hate towards Asians because of this pandemic. And I don't understand it. We need to speak up, and it's wrong. I don't understand why people are this bad. I don't understand why people are racist. So I don't really want to dwell on that because it's just triggering for me. But please, if you can, support the Asian American and Pacific Islander community because we really need your help. All right, so let's start with my March wrap up. So it was a little bit great in March because I was able to read a little bit more than usual, but it's also not the same number of books that I normally read, which is a little bit expected because at the second half of March, I already started working in person. So yeah, and I guess I thought that traffic was not going to come back during that time, but it did, and it's back to normal. So yes, I only read 7 books in March, which is about 134 pages, and that's 65 hours and 5 minutes of listening time. So the good thing with the traffic being back is that I am on the road more. I'm stuck in traffic more. That means more listening time. So I'm glad of that, at least. That's the silver lining in this horrible dark cloud that I'm under. So let's go into the star rating breakdown, and I'll try not to talk too much about this because I've noticed that I've been reading Katee Robert books, and of course I'm still reading the Psy-Changeling series, so it's basically all about Psy-Changelings, and there are spoilers in this wrap up, so I'll try not to talk too much about them because yeah, it's just crazy. And on that note, please don't forget our April live is going to be on this channel, which will be, well, I'm going to post it tomorrow, so it will be tomorrow, April 1st. Oh, May 1st. May 1st. So May 1st on my channel. So I'll leave a link to the description box below to the actual live show that is scheduled for later tomorrow afternoon at 6 p.m. Pacific time with my co-hosts, Charles from Books on Stereo, Steph at The Novelty Corner, Megan at Meowth Vader, and Carrie Dawn at Fantastically Taboo Books. And we will be talking about books 10, 11, and 12, which is actually part of what I will be talking about today. So kind of comes around full circle. But anyway, so let's start with my 2.5 star rating. That is the lowest rated star for this month, and it is Forbidden Promises by Katee Robert. This is book number 4 of the O'Malley's series, and this is a romantic suspense, but a little bit light on the suspense, still steamy, but I really hated this because of the surprise baby trope. I'm not a fan of that trope, and I feel like, I actually forgot the name of the hero and heroine here, but I think the hero's name is Judd. But anyway, I feel like the hero and heroine's romance was not as well developed, and I feel like they were just forced to be together because of the secret, the surprise baby. I didn't really like it. 2.5 stars. It was a great audiobook though. The narrator was great, but I just can't. I don't like the trope, and because of their relationship development, I feel like it wasn't developed as much as I would have hoped it would be. So next, let's move on to the 3-star read. I only have one book, and it is Bonds of Justice by Nalini Singh, and this is book number 8 of the Psy-Changeling series. This is Sophia Russo and Max Shannon's book, and if you have been following this series, Max Shannon is actually the friend of Talon from book 4. I believe it's book 4 of the Psy-Changeling series. So here we have Max, and then we have Shannon. Max Shannon, and then we have Sophia Russo. So Sophia is a Justice Psy, and her silence is fracturing, and this is where she and Max meet officially. I think they have met before, but this is the first time that they're going to be working together to protect one of the Psy Council, Nikita Duncan. And if you have been reading the series, Nikita Duncan is Sasha Duncan's mother, and Sasha is the heroine in book number 1, mated to Lucas Hunter, who is the alpha of the Dark River pack. I need to get these packs, these names memorized by now, but I for some reason I can't. So that's my train of thought here. I liked this book, but not as much as I like the others. So the thing about this book is that I wasn't as invested in Max and Sophia's romance. I felt like the romance wasn't developed as much, and I was more interested in the world and the things that are happening around them. So in this book, we get more information about what is Nikita's, I don't know, MO, I guess. Why? Because she is a part of the council. She still doesn't show her feelings to Sasha, but she's also doing things for Sasha that are very sus, that she does care for Sasha. So very interesting. This is a very interesting read because of that. The other thing that I really liked about this book was because another part of the storyline here is that Max and Sophia are also looking for the victims of this serial killer. So this, the bodies of the serial killer. Now, this serial killer is actually human. So in the other books that we've read, serial killers are always Psy. In this instance, the serial killer is not a Psy, but he is human. And he actually escapes and then kidnaps Sophia. Then we discover that there is another person, there's another Psy here that helps rescue Sophia. And wow, I read his book already. After reading his book, I realized why he was so invested in rescuing Sophia, because of things that happened in his past as well. So everything that happened around the book was just great, except for the romance itself. So that's why I gave it a 3-star. Really wanted to give it more, but I'm now being very critical with the Psy-Changeling series because every book is just amazing. So next up are my 4-star reads. I actually have 3. And first up we have Wicked Villains Shorts by Katee Robert. This is an anthology collection of all the novellas that she had provided to her Patreon subscribers. And basically these are like tidbits of the main characters in the Wicked Villains series. So I really loved reading this. I really liked taking a peek and looking back at the characters that I enjoyed. And while I didn't love all the books in the Wicked Villains series as much as I love the others. I actually I still liked reading about what happened to them after they got their HAA, and it's so fun, still steamy and kinky. So yay, Katee Robert, thank you for giving us the chance that are not Patreon members to read those, because those were really great. And it actually adds a little bit more to, a little bit more closure to to the heroes and heroines of the Wicked Villains series. The next book that I rated 4 stars for is actually a downgrade, and it is a reread of The Bride's Necklace by Kat Martin. So this is book 1 in the Bride's Necklace trilogy, and I want to show you the step back. Ooh. There you go. Very steamy step back. And I have thoughts on this book so much. I gave this book 5 stars initially. I listened to the audiobook this time, but I absolutely hated the hero. The hero's name is Cord, and he is Cordell Easton. He is an earl, and I just hated his guts. I don't know what I was thinking when I gave this book 5 stars, but I just hated him. And I was just like ranting inside my head about this dude. So I downgraded this from a 5 star to 4 star. So this book is about a lady. Her name is Victoria Temple, and her sister. So their father passes away, and then because he does not have any male heirs, the title went to their uncle, who is the only surviving male in their family line. And so he enters the family, and actually I think he does kill the mother. So he kills the mother and basically is now their guardian. So her uncle has sights on her younger sister, who is very naive and very innocent. So Tori, or Victoria, absolutely knows how lecherous her uncle is. So she actually hits him with a fireplace poker and thinks that he is dead. So they escape in the night, and she takes with her the bride's necklace. So the bride's necklace is a pearl necklace, and it is said to be cursed and is supposed to give luck to a person with a true of heart, but also misfortune to a person who is not true of heart. So Victoria sells it off, and then she's trying to find work in London, and then she finally finds work in Cordell's house as a housekeeper, which he actually hired her because he had eyes on her younger sister, and he wanted to make the younger sister a mistress. However, he quickly discovers that the younger sister is very innocent, and so he decides not to pursue her, and yet he is also attracted to Victoria, and then finally, he officially makes her the mistress. But I absolutely hated Cord in this series. I think I just hated him while I was reading this book. He's just so condescending, and then he wants things done his way and demands Tori to follow him, and I'm like, Tori, just leave him. Oh my god, So anyway, that's that. I still enjoyed the book. I was still rooting for Tori. I really like the whole series, but I really just hated Cord, and that's why I downgraded it from a 5 star to 4 star. So the next book that I gave 4 stars for is Play of Passion by Nalini Singh. This is book 9 in the Psy-Changeling series, and this is Drew Kincaid and Indigo Riviere's book. So this book is really sweet. This is an age gap romance where the heroine is actually older, and Drew is actually the brother of Brenna. Drew is actually the brother of Brenna. He is the younger brother of, what's his name? Riley. He's the younger brother of Riley, and then he's actually a tracker, and Indigo is a snow dancer lieutenant. So there is a little bit of a power imbalance because Indigo is actually one of the most trusted lieutenants in the Snow Dancer pack. So Hawk actually kind of grew up with Indigo and Riley, and they're about the same age. So they are actually one of the most trusted lieutenants in the pack. And then, Drew is actually a tracker, does not belong in the hierarchy of lieutenants, but he's also... He has a weird place in the pack. The same, it's kind of the same with Judd. Like, he is not an actual lieutenant because he's not a shifter, but he's also high up there in the pack. So I really like Drew. He is very sweet. He has an awesome relationship with the younger cubs in the pack, and I really love how Nalini used the younger kids or the younger cubs in the pack, the babies, the young kids, and the teenagers. There are a lot of them. There is a lot of that here because of Drew. And Drew is an absolute marshmallow. He's so sweet. He actually leaves kisses, chocolate kisses for Indigo, and he even gives her like a stuffed wolf. I was so cute. But anyway, I liked this one. I couldn't give it 5 stars because I've read better books than this. So I thought it was up there. It's really up there in the Psy-Changeling series. So highly recommend this one. All right, so let's move on to my 5-star reads. I actually have 2 5-star reads not this month, for March. I have 2 5-star reads for March, and the first one is Blaze of Memory, again by Nalini Singh. This is Psy-Changeling number 7, and this is Dev Santos and Katee's romance. I absolutely like this. So this book is really interesting to me. Like, everything else that happened in this book is so great, and the romance is so great. And then there is something that happens in the end that is a huge spoiler that I was not expecting. It was just mind-blowing. So what I really liked about this book is that we are introduced to the Forgotten. And the Forgotten are actually the Psy descendants who defected during the Silence Protocol when that was implemented. And these were the Psy that did not agree with the Silence Protocol, so they defected and actually disconnected from the Psy-Net, and so they made their own net called the Shadow Net. So these are the descendants. They are of mixed race. These are Psy who intermarried humans and changelings, and they've basically been forgotten. Nobody knows anything about them except for the Forgotten themselves. They do have some Psy abilities. Some of them are more powerful than others, but they're not as powerful as the Psy. This is an amazing book. Everything that happens in this book is just amazing. So Katee is actually Ashaya Elaine's co-worker or co-scientist during that Protocol 1 with Henry Scott. So she actually loses her memory, and she actually is a plant. So her goal is to kill the leader of the Shine Foundation, his name is Dev Santos. So Devraj Santos, I like him. He is actually one of the Forgotten, and he does have his powers. But then something happens in the end that I was not expecting. It was a shocker. And let's just say Ashaya's son, I forgot his name, and then Noor, the baby, the girl that Ashaya rescued, that were, these were the kids, these were the Forgotten kids that were kidnapped by Henry Scott, and they have this special power that I was just amazed. So I was amazed. So anyway, that's kind of what made this book a 5-star read, in my opinion. All right, so the next book that I gave 5 stars to, actually, if I could give 20,000 stars for this book, I will. And if you don't know already, it is Kiss of Snow by Nalini Singh, and this is book number 10 in the Psy-Changeling series. And this is This is Hawk and Sienna's book. Actually, people, I've been waiting for this book since book 1, when we actually meet Snow. When we actually meet Hawk and Sienna for the first time. So I think Sienna was probably 16 or 17 during that time. And the sparks between these two was just palpable. So before I knew that they actually had a book, I was just thinking that, this pair needs to have a book, because the animosity between these two was just off the page, and I thought their book was going to happen. And of course, it actually was published, and it is book 10, and it is a 10 book build-up. So you actually can read this book. Well, correction, you really can't read the Psy-Changeling series without reading all the books in order. But this book really pays off because we do get glimpses of Hawk and Sienna interact throughout the books, and most especially, I think, in Play of Passion, or probably Play of Passion, I think that they had more interaction here. There is actually a point here where Sienna actually leaves the pack and stays with the Dark River pack because she just wants to get away from Hawk because of the angst in this book. So obviously we know that this book is an age gap romance, and this is a fated mates romance, but also an age gap romance. So Sienna is a cardinal Psy. She has telekinetic powers, I think, and actually, should I say it? Yes. So she's actually an ex-Psy, and the ex-Psy, the X designation, there's a little known about the X designation because they do not survive until a certain age. They don't survive like past the age of like 20 something or something. I can't remember, but they don't survive past a certain age because they're normally too powerful and too destructive, and they just can't handle their power. And sometimes they're just too destructive that they're killed or rehabilitated. She's actually trained by Ming Laban, and Ming Laban is just one horrible dude that needs to just die. Anyway, let's talk about this book. So this book does happen when Sienna is 20. So she's 20, and of course Hawk is older. I believe Hawk is 29 or 30. But I really love how Nalini handles the extreme age gap and the power imbalance. And what I really liked about this book is in the end, Sienna does say that you are not my alpha, and you are my mate. I love you. You are Hawk. I respect you, but you are not my alpha. And she is an ex-Psy. She is powerful. So her innate power and his power as the alpha kind of balances out just the power imbalance. It just balance out. So it negates everything. And I do love that Hawk really respects Sienna when she said, "You're not my alpha." All right. So that was my March wrap up. So now moving on to my April wrap up. And unfortunately, I only read 5 books in April. I initially thought that I would be reading more because I was stuck in traffic more, but I actually had one book that took me a couple weeks to listen to. Actually, 2. I think there are 2 books that actually I had a hard time listening to them. It took me a while to finish them. So that's why. But I'm fine. I'm fine with that. So with the 5 books I read in April, that is 422 pages and 44 hours and 36 minutes of listening time. So I forgot to mention this, but that means I read a total of 24 books for the whole year. And I'm happy. This year has been a struggle with reading. So anyway, let's start with my least rated book at 2 stars. And that is Seducing My Guardian by Katee Robert. This is book number 4 in the Touch of Taboo series. And I didn't like it. I mean, it still had the classic erotic steaminess that Katee Robert has, but I did not buy the relationship between the hero and heroine. I actually forgot their names now, but okay. Anyway, I was really disappointed. I really didn't get why. I just didn't get why the heroine would fall in love with this guardian. I mean, yeah, she had the hots for him way back in the day, and that he would appear every year on her birthday to stop her from doing something stupid, or to rescue her or something like that. But she really liked him, but because he's the guardian and he's the father's best friend, and so blah blah blah. But I feel like the romance lacked a lot of things that made me like the previous books in this series. So if this is the last book in the series, then yay, I finished all 4 books. But I don't know if I will be reading more in this series, if there is something that, I mean, if Katee Robert would write an additional book to this series. So I don't know. And or maybe I've just been reading too much Katee Robert, because the next book that I rated 3 stars is another Katee Robert book that I was a little bit disappointed with, and it is Abel, and this is book number 1 in the Sabine Valley series. I actually borrowed this from the library, which is fine. At least I didn't purchase it because I ended up thinking that it was okay. This is a revenge romance, and there is a lot of hate banging in here, and classic Katee Roberts steaminess, still top-notch, written really well, but I really didn't vibe with the throuple here. I just can't. I just couldn't vibe with the whole romance, and even though it was really well written and the romance was very believable in the end, but I don't know. I thought it was okay. Just 3 stars for this one. And which is, I think, based on all the books I've read from Katee Robert, and I've just started reading her last year, there are awesome hits. Like, I have rated her books 5 stars before, but there are also books that I just didn't really like. So maybe the next book in the Sabine Valley series will be great. I just requested it from the library, and I'm just gonna wait until I get it. But I'm not gonna go buy the book because book 1 was a disappointment. Maybe book 2 is better. I did hear that book 2 is better. So the next one is a book that I rated 3.5 stars for, and this is the reason why it took me a while to finish this book, and this is Tangle of Need by Nalini Singh, and this is book number 11 in the Psy-Changeling series, and this is actually Riaz's romance, and I forgot her name. Ezrah, another wolf changeling. Riaz is a lieutenant in the Snow Dancer pack, and he actually used to date Indigo, but he actually has a mate, and he discovered his mate, and he couldn't really marry the mate because his mate was already married when he met her. So this book is just a filler book, a legit filler book. The romance between Riaz and Ezrah is not that great. It's not the main focus of this book. Like, everything else is the focus of the book. So anyway, and I think it's because I was waiting for Caleb's book, which is the next book, book number 12. And I can't. It's just this book. This is actually I actually bought this book, and it's actually really well. You know, it's the condition is great. It's like mint condition, like brand new. But maybe that's why it's brand new, because it's not that great. This is just a filler book. It's just it's the book right after this amazingness of a book. We do get somebody gets killed in this book. We get another layer to what's been happening with the Psy Council and the arrows. The arrows again are starting to play a huge role because things happen, and their leader, the arrows, actually don't follow their leader anymore. So there is a member in the Psy Council that is in charge of the arrows, and then the arrows just upped and mutinied and are not following anymore. So the arrows are actually loyal to Aiden, and Aiden is their leader. So anyway, you do see a lot of we actually also get more about the ghost. So I know I didn't mention that, but the ghost does pop in and out, and we actually will find out who the ghost is in the next book. But the ghost does pop up here, and then of course we hear about Judd and Xavier, the priest that they have been working with. So basically this book is a setup for Caleb's book, which is the next book in the series. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about that, but yeah, Riaz's and Adria's book is just not that, the romance is not that great, but everything else happening about it around them is great. The only thing of note here is that it is possible for a mated wolf to find his mate, but actually mate with someone else. Not exactly mate, but they actually form another bond, but not the mating bond. And it's still as strong as, being a mate. So I think that's the only thing that we find out here. So the next one is a actual 4.5 star read, and it's actually book number 13 in the Psy-Changeling series, which is Shields of Winter by Nalini Singh, again, of course. This is actually Basic's book, Basic and Ivy's book, and this book happens, spoiler, I've been spoiling everything about this series already, but this has been out for a long time now. So anyway, so this book happens after the fall of silence, and then we find out the infection that has been eating away in the Psy net. So we find out more about the empaths, the Psy, which is Sasha Duncan. She is the first Psy that we find out, we know of. And then, of course, Ivy is another Psy. And then basically in this book, they're trying to find all the Psys and trying to repair the Psy net because of this virus, or not virus. There's this infection that is eating away at the Psy, and every time, at the Psy, on the psychic plane, on the Psy net, well, we find out what the importance of the Psy are. So I love this book. 4.5 stars, and I think I only gave this, I couldn't even give this a 5-star because the previous book was just amazing, which I will talk about. And that is my 5-star read of the month. It's Heart of Obsidian. This is book 12 in the Psy-Changing series. And this is Caleb's book. So Caleb and, what's her name? Oh, God. Oh my God. So I forgot. In the back blurb of the book, we actually don't, so if you look at the blurb of this book, we actually don't know who the person is, and I remember her name. So her name is Sahara. So Sahara is the heroine of this book, and the hero is Caleb. And spoiler, this book is a morality chain book. Caleb is an anti-hero among anti-heroes. He is the best hero. I actually knew that he was going to be an anti-hero when we find him, because he was doing some sus things in the whole series. So we finally get his book. 12 books in, we do find him. He actually pops in and out in each book. So there's a lot of spoiler revelations here that I'm not going to, but we already know that Caleb was the protege of Santano Enrique. So Santano Enrique is the villain of the first book, and as much as I really he is a bad person. He is a freaking bad person, and I think that his death off page does not do it justice. I just want to see him super dead, killed on page by all of these people that he has hurt. So we do find out why, and we find out his sick mind. I tell you, Caleb is just, his backstory is so heart-wrenching. I just want to give child Caleb a hug. There is a part in this book where Caleb just breaks because of what happened to Sahara, and I just can't. I'm going to talk more about this book in our Psy read-along live later on, so I'm just going to shut up because that is a spoiler it's a spoiler zone, and we can talk about a lot of things on this book. So one of the best books ever. I mean, after this book, I just wanted to have a huge book hangover and just take it all in. But anyway, that is my March and April wrap up. I know I talked a lot today, and this is probably a very, very long video now. So I hope I'll be able to edit it whole tonight and then post it tomorrow. But anyway, don't forget that our Psy-Changeling Read-Along Live is going to be on May 1st at 6 p.m. PST. I'll put more information in the details below. And I really had a lot of time, a lot of fun chatting on our Discord chat just about this book because it's just amazing. So if you're interested, you can also join the Discord for this group. And I will also leave the information in the description box below. So again, if you made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know how many books you've read in March and April. And please let me know how you're doing. And you know what? Share something great. Or you know what? Just drop a heart emoji. And that basically will tell me that you've watched this far. But anyway, thank you again. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in another video.